So, what is up, my little baby internet land? Everybody has ADHD now. Like, what up with that? Stick to the end. I promise you, I'm not crazy. Told this theory to my therapist, and she did not feel the need to commit me, so yeah. I don't know, check it out. Alright. Check out those wrinkles, YouTube bros. Yeah, I'm old. Oh, wow. Okay, so I wanted to talk about this one. We all have ADHD now. What up with that? Okay, so I am speaking as a person who researched ADHD in depth, as well as autism in depth, like a decade ago. And then for the following 7 years, I had a reason to, but ended up finding similarities in a lot of the traits that I was reading about. And, you know, I was dealing with somebody who was not exactly open-minded about adding more neurodivergence in their life, so I shut the crap up about it, right? I did that for, well, 8 years. Yeah, 8 years. Something I had been trying to find an answer for a very long time was, what the crap is wrong with my brain? Because I'm trying to operate it in a fashion that I was taught is the right way to do things, right? And I am so bored. I go to work at Best Buy every day, and I am so bored. And I got promoted, and that was fun for like a couple of weeks, but then I was so bored. And I went to a doctor, right? Went to a doctor. He diagnosed it as anxiety. I continued to tell doctors sort of what the experience was, but I refrained from using the word bored, because to be honest, they weren't listening to it when I did it. And they wouldn't for many, many years to come. So anyway, I continued my research into ADHD and autism and all things neurodivergence, partially out of need, right? I did have a need to do this, and I'm not going to talk about that need, but I had a need. And then I also ended up having a kind of little hyperfixation, right? And at one point, I just kind of accepted. I was pretty sure I had ADHD. I went and I signed up for like ADD, you know, and all that crap. And I did lots of research, and I tried to, you know, start implementing things, but then it all went south, and I didn't have any blood left in my body, and my brain was starting to go kind of dark, and I was stuck on a couch for a while. You know, it was like, it's just normal everyday crap, right? Anyway, I kind of shelved it. I shelved thinking about it for a few years because I was otherwise occupied with, you know, checking to make sure I was getting enough B12 every day, and getting my B12 shots, and taking my B12 shots, and B12. Yeah, so anyway, B12 overload. So I shelved thinking about it for a while, right? And then a thing happened, and I started therapy, and I got this young, like, student therapist, right? And she told me to do something that, yeah, I'm sure it isn't, like, a huge thing for normal people, but, God, I'm not normal, right? Hold on, let me see what that dog is barking about. Okay, so, like, my presentation of ADHD is combined ADHD, and it actually fits perfectly in line with the DSM standard for the DSM-4, but the DSM-4 definitions were written with a bias towards not ladies, and I'm not a lady, but I guess by their definition I would be. So of course I couldn't have had ADHD. That's crazy talk. Crazy talk. Anyway, so I had this therapist. She was a student, and she wasn't really familiar with, like, I guess PTSD treatments, like severe cases of CPTSD, right? And that's what I am, and that's what I'm classified as in all my paperwork. Yeah, paperwork. Anyway, so, like, she told me, and I mean, it was good advice, you know, bless her, she wasn't familiar with PTSD, and she told me that I needed to, like, give in and feel for, like, 30 minutes a day, and then that 30 minutes, oh, wow, okay, so that 30 minutes turned into about 3 days that I lost. I was in, like, flashback hell. It was an experience. I was getting to relive some of the finer moments in my life that I just would prefer to have not lived through, right? Right. But I did, and so those memories are there. And anyways, it was bad. It was bad. I ended up having, like, a, like, I guess you'd call it a, like, psychotic break. Yeah, I'm cuckoo crazy there. And not just for Cocoa Puffs. I like, you know, many types of cereal. Yeah, I do. Anyway, I ended up at my doctor's office, and with a very, very caring physician's assistant at my doc's office, and she got me immediately started with a med. She offered Prozac, but I was, like, scared of that word, so I didn't take the Prozac. I took a Zoloft, and then I started sleepwalking, and it was really weird, and I went back in 2 weeks, and she gave me Prozac, and my life has significantly changed since then. I am no longer, like, randomly getting stuck in flashback hell. You know, when somebody mentions a certain word or whatever stupidness was doing it before. Oh gosh, puppy. Okay, let's see if maybe we can get a few more minutes in before she goes crazy again. Anyway, I don't remember where I was at, like, oh. But I'll go with this as a starting point. So I fit the DSM-4 standard, but the DSM-4 standard had a bias towards dudes, and I am not a dude, so therefore I must have had anxiety, right? Which totally affects chicks more. Oh, that's where I was at. I had started Prozac, yeah. Okay, so I started Prozac, and that got me out of, like, the immediate crisis place, right? Love that stuff. Made me anxious for the first few weeks, but I just kind of, like, sat in my chair and watched reruns of The Middle, because it was, like, one of my comfort shows, and that got me through it, right? So anyway, after getting past the crisis point, I could still feel something was wrong. I was still feeling, like, overwhelmed just by humaning, yeah? So I got really into YouTube, and that's what I would do. I was just kind of sitting there with my days on the couch, and letting YouTube autoplay on boyfriend's TV. And then one day it got to be too much, and I had to, like, start paying for premium, because they sent me this ad. It was like 2 hours long of, like, meat roasting. I was like, dude, okay, I like meat. Sorry, that vegan teacher, I am no fan of yours. Right? But, like, dude, that's a lot. Anyway, so I got really into YouTube. Let it autoplay just all the time, while I was trying to, you know, do some semblance of humaning. You know, like getting up, showering, washing dishes, laundry, stuff like that. Humaning, right? One day, my YouTube autoplayed onto Jessica McCabe's How to ADHD. And I had an appointment with my therapist the next day, and I was like, I'm gonna talk to her about this. Like, does she know that women have, like, a slightly different presentation? And, like, anyway, so I talked to her the next day, and we ended up having an assessment, like, right on the phone there, because this was telehealth. This was during the pandemic, right? And, you know, she asked me questions about my life, and I answered the questions about my life, and, she was like, yeah, no, girl, you've got, combined ADHD, so not just the, you know, simple, no, you've got both of them. But see, the hyperactivity part, I've got a hyperactive mind. Yeah. Anyway, that's, like, a whole other video topic that I'm totally not going to get into right now. But anyway, talked to my therapist the next day, and she's like, yeah, you have ADHD. And I start trying to treat it with non-stimulants, because I was, much like I was scared of the word Prozac, I was also scared of the word stimulant. I tried twttr, and I have never been so tired in my life. That's, like, all I did for, like, the 8 months I was trying it at different dosages. I just slept. I slept so much. Like, it was crazy. Yeah. So, I went to my GP, and he asked if I needed to be assessed for ADHD, and I was like, no, I did that at the therapist that you guys referred me to, like, ages ago, when he put me on Prozac and saved my life. And he's like, oh, what'd she say? And so, you know, proceeded to tell him, and we decided that I was going to try Adderall, and my life has not been the same since. I'm actually, like, I guess this is silly, right? But I'm accomplishing just existing as a human. Like, I wake up in the morning, I have some semblance of routine, I get things done, you know, like I wash dishes, I feed myself, I shower, I wash my hair, I do all the human things, right? Which, shame to say, you know, there have been some spotty periods of those in the past, right? Anyway. Yeah. So, my theory is that when the DSM was revised, when it started looking at women's ADHD as, you know, something a little bit different, and the presentation opened up, and all of these diagnoses started happening, and now, like, oh my god, like, the whole world has ADHD, right? Or, like, autism, like, they're on the autism spectrum, or, like, everybody's got a neurodivergent thing, right? I am here to posit my theory. Now, this theory I have told my therapist multiple times, and she has not felt the need to commit me at all, like any single time after giving it to her. So, okay, here goes. I'm putting this out there on the internet. I think neurodivergence is our norm. I think that we've been structured away from our norm and led into, you know, routine and habit with our American schools. Because, I mean, there are so many things I did not learn in school, like how to do my taxes, hello, you know, all sorts of things I didn't learn in school. You know, I did learn in school that, like, I had someone else's schedule to be beholden to, right? I had someone else's goals to be beholden to. My goals were, you know, pretty secondary, if even really discussed, beyond the teacher too that, you know, goes above and beyond. Shout out to Miss Roy Beth. But I'm pretty sure that, like, okay, so I don't want to be all, you know, like, sciencey about it and say this, but is it that our evolution is, like, the theory that I had with my therapist was that our new sense of being, our evolution or devolution, if you will, is just us all having shorter attention spans, and, you know, a need for medication to keep us going in this routine-laden world that wasn't really built with the neurodivergent mind in mind, right? Now, Gen Z is, like, hyper aware of neurodivergent needs and, like, takes them into consideration and things, right? But our workforce is still so bogged down with the boomers and the Gen Xers who haven't retired yet, and the silent generation who haven't, you know, given running for president over to someone younger yet. Yeah, we're still stuck in their world, right? But we're not We're talking about generations that are hyper aware of therapy, that are hyper aware of, you know, healing themselves, their minds, all of that trauma, all of these things, right? And hyper aware of treating their, you know, quote unquote disorders, right? How we've got to like recognize that it's not us that's disordered. We're just not 9 to 5 robots. I'm sorry, we're not. The boxes they try to put people in are just not the same size as the pegs that are their brains. So, like, everyone has ADHD, right? That's weird. Or maybe our world is just, like, not expecting for everyone to wake up and realize that their minds work kind of differently. Yeah. I've ranted for long enough. Peace out, my loves.